Well, greetings and salutations, friends and international viewers. Welcome to the channel, and this is our She-Hulk pregame show. Yes, tonight at midnight, T-minus 9 hours and counting from right now, midnight Los Angeles time, whatever time that is for you are, but 9 hours from now, She-Hulk episode 2 will drop. We're coming off, of course, a really solid She-Hulk episode 1, which I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, as a matter of fact. Joining me here, of course, is Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing?
I matched with She-Hulk on Tinder.
Did you?
No.
Wow. Oh, I was going to say.
I don't know. If I downloaded Tinder, I'd get whipped at home.
I see.
Why do you have this on your phone? Oh, because I want to match with She-Hulk. Oh, likely story.
True story. My wife, Ann, and I decided to have a little contest. We both created.
Tinder?
Yep. We both created Tinder profiles to see which one of us would get more matches, likes, whatever. It may surprise you to find out that I lost. It may surprise you to find out that I lost. And yeah, so that was
this story seems a little sus.
No, it's true.
I don't know.
We said we were hanging out one day. We said, let's create these profiles. We create these profiles. Let's see what happens. We'll give it 24 hours. And yeah, I lost by a significant amount. I know that's surprising.
I'd love to know the amount.
It was lopsided. It was.
Let's say you got ratioed.
Yeah, I got ratioed pretty bad. Anyway, so yeah, no pairing for She-Hulk for me on Tinder though.
Wow.
But here we go. We're rolling into episode 2 tonight. Now we talked about last week's episode. By the way, guys, the way we're gonna do this is we're gonna talk about our thoughts about what's coming up tonight, our ideas, what we're looking for, what we're hoping to see, maybe some guesses and theories. And then what we're going to do is in the second half, we're just going to throw it open to you. We want to hear your thoughts, theories, speculations, whatever, things you're hoping to see in tonight's episode. And, you know, as we look back for a moment at last week's episode, you know, one of my things that surprised me was I was really looking for a true sitcom.
Yes.
And I was disappointed to see that they didn't lean as much into that. I mean, and it's different. Like with Thor 4, I was a little bit disappointed about how much they leaned into the silly and the comedy, but that's because it was Thor. This is supposed to be a comedy, so I was looking a little bit more for that. They didn't deliver that, but the other stuff they filled it in with really surprised me. Like a lot of the stuff with Bruce, the interaction between her and Bruce, particularly like for the first time ever, like Bruce was able to give his thoughts, from his perspective about what it's been like living with the curse of being the Hulk all that time, right? And which made us understand why he was so hell-bent to try to help Jennifer, right? To come to grips with that. And again, it was just tender and it was sweet. And we got to get a really good understanding of She-Hulk and where she's coming from with her life and the struggle she has had with the place she's in life right now, even at her own law firm and everything. So it just delivered a lot more than I thought it was going to, even though it didn't deliver as many laughs as I was looking forward to. When you look back on the episode now, it's been a week. By the way, how strange is it that it's been a week? Because to me, it feels like it's been 4 weeks.
I agree with you. I don't know why that feels that
I know.
way. Maybe because we heard that people saw those 4 episodes first. Or,
maybe.
Some of the things I liked was how much backstory and world building they filled in. Like when Brett Banner's talking about how, you know, I was full on the Hulk for 2 years. There was the Bruce Banner was not there for 2 years, which I liked all that. But what I also, you know, what people forget, and I've read a lot of online commentary about this first episode, is Jennifer and Bruce are family.
Yeah, they're cousins.
So and clearly they had a close relationship for a long time pre-Hulk. So I think when they're talking to each other, it wasn't like Jennifer was somehow dissing Bruce or dissing men. They were talking the way family talks. Family talks. And I think that that's something that's important to remember. And I did enjoy their banter. And I like the fact, like you pointed out, I like that he was trying to help her. You know, like, look, I don't want you to disappear for 2 years into the Hulkness of it all. And was very much worried that, like, I was 2 different people. I did not have an integrated personality, and he was surprised to discover that she's already integrated, which is not something he was expecting, and he was worried about her. And I liked that. I thought that was something that I didn't expect. I think that's an atypical episode, though.
Well, yeah, it's true too, but also when you look back at like Ed Norton's Hulk, right? This is the same Hulk technically, but his portrayal of that Hulk was that he often wanted to get away because I need to protect myself. I got to make sure I don't change. But with this banner, you know, it's like, you don't understand. I'm not here because I choose to be here. I'm here because if I have a bad day, a city can get destroyed.
Right.
If I have a bad day. And what I'm hoping is, my fingers crossed, is that they are hinting at the Hulk is still in there. Because to me, they've neutered Hulk a lot over the years, ever since Infinity War. They've really been neutering Hulk. And the whole thing, I like the fact that Bruce said, listen, like the planet can be in trouble, and you and I are one of the few individuals who could actually do something about it. And him even saying, listen, if I have a bad day, people die if I have a bad day. So I kind of like that, and the fact that he was referencing the other guy in his head and all that kind of stuff, that somebody else is taking the wheel. And to me, that story hints that Hulk may be coming back, which again, I will keep my fingers crossed about. But let's move on now. So we got our episode 1 really good introduction.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't feel like they needed to spend way too much time on, this is how I became the Hulk. We didn't need a full hour-long episode about how I became the Hulk. It was car crash. He bled into my open wound. Boom, I'm Hulk. That's all we needed to know.
Right.
Now let's move forward. But now here we are. Last week's episode ends. She's in court, and she gets revealed to the world that she is She-Hulk. Titania was obviously there. Obviously, I don't think we've seen the last of her.
No.
So my guess, here's my big guess for tonight, based on nothing. Now that the world knows that this lawyer is She-Hulk, I think Daredevil shows up tonight. I think tonight is the night. It seems to me to make sense that the next thing to happen is another person who is a lawyer who kind of lives in that world is going to be one of the first people to show up in Dark. Then again, like, there's a really good argument to be made that tonight is when Wong shows up, because I think Wong is going to be a kind of significant presence in the show. But I don't know, when you're looking ahead to tonight now, what are you seeing?
Well, I see that it's going to settle into the kind of show it's going to be.
Yeah.
Like, I think that the origin episode was atypical, and now we're going to lean more into that Ally McBeal, LA Law, Boston,
Boston
the practice,
Legal.
Boston Legal, that whole humorous aspect, humor mixed with law, and the fact that we're going to start a superhero legal defense fund or whatever organization she's going to join. And I think that that's where the show's going to live. But I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Murdock shows up, because we know that he would step up and represent Spider-Man if he had to. So maybe he's had a previous experience dealing with superheroes and helping them with their problems. We just haven't seen it yet. So he would be the first person to show up once Jennifer Walters hulks out in the courtroom.
I like the fact that you brought up that scene that we've seen in the trailers, where she's clearly walking with like the head of her agency, the head of the law firm. And he says, we want to start a metahuman. Is that what he said? Whatever.
Something like that.
We'll use the term metahuman. We want to start a metahuman division. We want She-Hulk to be the face of it, right? I could see a scenario where that and the Matt Murdock thing happens in the same episode.
Yeah.
Where she gets presented with that and she's thinking, I don't know. I want to be me. I want my own law thing. And then maybe a Matt Murdock shows up and says, listen, you don't have any idea what kind of good you can do, being that you have a foot in both worlds.
Absolutely.
Right? So now whether that happens tonight's episode or next week's episode or whatever, but I can see that happening. And I think you're right. I think episode 2 becomes the episode that establishes what the show is really going to be and feel. And because, we talked about that last week, that it really would have been nice for She-Hulk to have launched with 2 episodes, so we could have had that sense right away. But they could do that. Could you see another way they could have, because I love this idea of yours that they want to establish this new division. They want her to do it. She resists. Matt Murdock shows up to convince her to do it. That would be a good way to set up the show. But could you see another way they could take tonight's episode that could set up the future of the show?
Well, obviously, Titania or whatever busts in. Maybe her first case is she's going to have to defend a villain, or she's going to have to defend
Titania, the one she stopped.
And she'll have to defend her in court, and that's when they notice her and say, oh, you know what? We've had this idea, but in the aftermath of the attack on New York and everything that's gone on post-blip, and the world's kind of a mess, and now there's probably a lot more metahumans, maybe, as a result of the power that was expended. We don't really know. I'm sure they're going to give us a little bit more world building, that she's going to probably do a fine job of defending a client, and that's when they take notice of her and say, you know what, we want you to deal with this, because what other superhero has a law degree?
So the elephant in the room, though, or in this case, the abomination in the room, is Abomination. Now, I got tremendously excited when they announced that, what's the actor's name? Tim Roth?
Tim Roth.
When they announced that Tim Roth was going to be back, because for those of you who followed me for any period of time, you know, for years, I've been saying, bring back Abomination. Bring him back. There's a reason you didn't kill him in the last film. He's the ultimate foil. He's that one character that can bring out the best in Hulk. That these are two. Nobody else can go toe to toe with Hulk. Set this up. Although Thor Ragnarok was pretty good, except Wong. Wong is pretty great too. So I mean, at some point, this looks like it's going to be, I think, more than a one episode arc, because they said, I've heard a lot of the people who saw the first 4 episodes who have said that this is going to be very much an episodic show, and I can totally see that. But this seems to me, especially when we saw that one scene in the trailer with Jennifer talking to her boss and saying, listen, I got a conflict of interest. This particular client tried to kill my cousin. And so that could be one that maybe they do all in one episode. Mm-hmm. Maybe they do, but I have a feeling this is one that stretches out a little bit. What do you think?
I do too. I think that he's a recurring character. I mean, you got an actor like Tim Roth. He's a very established actor, a great British actor. I mean, we've loved him. I mean, hell, he was in Reservoir Dogs, Tarantino's first film.
He was in Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes. He was an ape.
That's right.
I mean, he was great. So I think when you have an actor of his caliber, you don't just use him for an episode, especially because he's a legacy character. You know.
I don't know. Listen.
And we've seen him like he has some kind of encounter group, some self-help group, like he's running a group discussion maybe in his asylum, wherever he lives. I don't know.
or maybe it's just Wong sneaks him out once in a while.
Could be.
But I mean, like going back to you wouldn't just bring in like a legacy character for one team. Well, I know we disagree on this. I don't think we're going to see Bruce for the rest of the series.
I think,
and I know you think we will.
I think only because they posed the question, this is a Sicarian starship, a courier vessel, I have to go deal with it. And that has to be paid off, unless it's an Easter egg that'll be paid off in another movie. But I think they have to pay it off in the series. They have to explain what's going on.
But it's not his series. So do they have to pay it off in this series?
Well, I mean, it was the instigating incident that caused her to become, She-Hulk. So I'm sure she's going to want to know.
Maybe, could be, possibly.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I would think he comes back at the end, but maybe he doesn't.
Now, look, one of the things that we've also heard that there are going to be cameos galore in the series, and a number of them are revealed in the trailers, right? Like we know Bruce was the obvious one. We knew that one from the very first teaser they put out. We knew Abomination. We know Wong. We know Daredevil. But that's 4 out of 9 episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, could tonight be the night that we get one of those surprise cameos? And, we were talking before about who could those other cameos be, right? Like obviously Deadpool came up a couple of times because of the relationship with the fourth wall break, stuff like that. Again, I still 100% don't believe Ryan Reynolds is showing up in this series.
Well,
but
they did shooting here in LA, and it was concurrent to like reshoots and things with Doctor Strange and Spider-Man No Way Home.
Right.
Maybe we'll see some real heavy hitters show up in the show.
You think maybe a Spider-Man could show up?
Maybe. Why not? I mean, if any character would be fun to have on the show.
Okay,
he's had his own legal troubles.
But let's explore that for a second, because the big problem with that potential of it being like Spider-Man, because you're right, the timing of when they shot stuff, that opens a lot of logistical possibilities. But with the contract situation of a Tom Holland, does Sony let Spider-Man pop up in a Disney Plus She-Hulk show? Is that even something he's contracted for right now? Like, that could be an issue.
It's just advertising. If you can ask, say, hey, can he pop up? I mean, it's not the kind of thing, he's either going to do it or not. Like, I don't think with the amount of money they're probably paying him that they have to like renegotiate or something. He probably can just do it. Like if he appears as himself and doesn't say his name or anything and just talks.
Well, because remember now the world doesn't know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Right. That's true.
Right. So that's the other big catch there, right? So does just a Peter Parker
or that
show
could be interesting. What if Peter Parker shows up and no one knows who he is?
He just has a rent control problem, legal problem with his landlord.
That would be interesting.
My landlord keeps showing up. Rent? and he won't leave me alone. I need him to back off a bit. We need a lawyer. Do you think maybe
I
that?
could see something like that happening.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's something they could do. So beyond the Deadpool, so you're about Spider-Man. I read some people throwing out theories like a Doctor Strange. I don't see a Doctor Strange showing up here. I even read one theory. It wasn't the way they structured it too. It really wasn't bad because you're going to roll your eyes at it first. But Thor actually showing up with some petty human legal problem that he can't just solve with his fists.
I mean, that would be hilarious.
I find that a very big stretch, but it would be completely hilarious. Old man Steve was a theory that he's having problems with collecting his USO pension or something.
Yeah, but then it would have to be revealed to the world that he's...
Oh, yep, that Steve is still around. That's true. Yep, that kind of undermines that.
Or not, because nobody would know who he is. That old man's not Captain America.
No,
Captain
my
America.
name's Edgar.
Yeah, I mean, you could
Edgar
do,
Flannels.
You could do anything you
That
want.
man clearly doesn't fuck.
Not in the least. Or how's this? Tony shows up, says, look, the world's believed I'm dead for a while, and I need some legal things set up to make sure it stays that way.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
No,
Yeah,
no, that is not going to happen. No. Not a chance. But still, it opens up some very, very interesting possibilities. Anyway, guys, question for you is, and get ready to start firing these in. Actually, the super chats are open now. If you want to fire in the questions now, you can, about what theories do you have and all that kind of stuff about tonight. What do you think we can see? But Rob, I want to move on to the other really big question here, rather than the speculation of what we will see. As a show, as a narrative, what types of things are you hoping to see in this episode of storytelling to be in an episode 2? Like for me, I'll start things off so you can get an idea what I'm talking about here. You know, I would like to see them lean a little more into the comedy this week. Because again, I was looking for that a bit last week. And in hindsight, they probably made all the right decisions last week about the way they set up the world. But now that a lot of that is set up and established, I would like to see them do a little bit more sitcom approach to it. With that, I also would like to see, because they've made mention of it in the first episode, I want to see the bond and dynamic between Jennifer and the girl she says is her best friend. I forget the name. Like when Hulk says, "Who's your best friend?" So-and-so.
Right.
No, spandex. I mean, I'd like to see that developed a little bit, as well as, those are just some core elements. A little bit more into the sitcom stuff. Let's see that relationship between her and her best friend, because that apparently is going to be kind of like a foundational thing for us show. What kinds of elements are you hoping to see them develop once we get into...
To add to that, how does Jennifer navigate the real world as a Hulk? Like we've seen, like her friend in the chambers, in the, what do you call it, courtroom, make sure that her shoes are okay. Like get out of your shoes, because if you got like Manolo Blahniks or something and you turn into the Hulk and you wreck a $300 pair of shoes, that's not good. But then what does she do, like just navigating the real world? Like I want to know, can she just become Hulk at will? And if she can...
It looks like she can.
But then why would she be Hulk on a date? Like we see that scene when she picks the guy up and like is going to spirit him off.
You know what? That's okay. Actually, that's a great question, because the ending of last week clearly shows that she changes at will. Like they're in the courtroom and she had to be talked into it by her friend. Look, you got to do it. Turn into the Hulk. All right. Vroom. So we know she can control it. That is a very good question though, about what prompts her to want to go on her dates as Hulk.
I don't think she does.
You think she loses control?
I think she's out with some guy. It's going well. They go back to her place and the guy's like, I don't think.
No. Don't forget, in one of the promos, they showed her on a couple of dates in restaurants, still in her.
Oh, right. But that could be. I mean, I would think that if I was taking out Jennifer Walters and I knew she was She-Hulk, and I had like a Hulk fetish or something, I'd be like, I don't suppose if we're gonna get busy that you could turn into Hulk, could you? I mean, that could be. There's a lot of comedic possibilities there. Even
if I had a Hulk fetish, the one time I would ask her to revert, I don't know. That's a risky proposal. That's a risky thing.
Yes,
you're taking your life in your hands if you want to. Just throwing that out there. All right,
worth it though.
That could be like a boys type of situation there. I don't know about that.
Yes, or an Orville type of situation. Because remember Lamar?
Yeah.
And the one girl's like, every time they try to have sex, he just had the shit beat out of him.
Yeah.
Like he had to go to the sick bay with broken bones and everything. I'm just saying, it could be a little bit of that. All right. So here's what we're going to do, guys. Those are our thoughts about what we're looking forward to tonight, what we think we're going to get tonight in She-Hulk. But we now want to hear from you. What are you hoping to see? What kinds of elements are you hoping to see in it? What are some of your theories about who or what we're going to see pop up in the show tonight? Go ahead, use the super chats, fire those in. We're only going to have that super chat open for just a couple more minutes, and then we're going to shut it down. Now, before we tag Kris in for this and go over to your questions, we're going to take a second and thank one of the sponsors of this episode of our She-Hulk pre-show, our friends at Mint Mobile. We want to take a second and thank the sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of the retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. And guys, I have been using Mint Mobile for months now, and I could not be more thrilled with the service. I also couldn't be more thrilled with the fact that my phone bill now is literally 1/3 of what it used to be with my previous major carrier. All plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for sponsoring the John Campea YouTube channel. All right, we now joined by Kris Carr, who is tagged in, and she's going to be reading out the questions. But before we jump into the questions,
yes,
did you have any outstanding theories you wanted to share before we talk to our viewers?
I do. So this was posed by CBR when the Nikki Ramos character first came out, because it's an original character, right?
Right.
A lot of people are speculating that Nikki Ramos is a Skrull, that she's actually going to be Jacinda, because She-Hulk and her were really tight and they did bounty hunting together. And who better to bounty hunt with than your BFF?
That's not a bad theory.
Right?
I don't want them to do that, but it's not a bad theory.
It kind of would make sense with where where phase 4 is going. We're not sure.
We're not really clear on that at this point.
But I mean, it's something that they could do.
It is. All right, let's jump over and hear from what people want to throw in here. All right, what's next?
All right. So we are starting with Ahmed.
Yep.
Okay.
Actually, yeah. Can you read that? Is that a little...
Can you scroll up just a little for me?
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you so much. I really hope we see Wong or Matt Murdock tonight. I also wish in the future Marvel Studios would make their shows hour-long episodes like House of the Dragon. Bring on the filthy.
I mean, there are shows... Listen, you've heard me say that exact same thing. This 36-minute episode, but a show like She-Hulk, which is meant to be an Ally McBeal-like kind of half-hour sitcom, I'm okay with that for shows like this.
Yeah.
But for Ms. Marvel, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, WandaVision, I mean, if you want us to take you seriously as real seriously good TV, then act seriously. Like, make your stuff like closer to an hour long or more. If you'd like. I mean, that would be pretty good too. But for something like She-Hulk, I'm actually okay with the runtime on something like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 30-minute sitcom. Do I wish we got a 2-parter premiere? Yes, I do. That would have been really, really nice, because then we would have had that whole setup episode, and then we could have gotten into wacky shenanigans.
I agreed. All right, what's next?
From Reamer Bulldog, absolutely enjoyed the first episode. Any theories for episode 2?
Well, again, we've been talking about the theories tonight. Like, are we going to see one of the things that we saw in the trailers? Is it going to be Abomination's episode? Is it going to be Wong's episode? Is it going to be Matt Murdock's episode? Is it going to be one of the characters we don't know anything about yet's episode? A lot of that kind of stuff as well. So we were going to that, but I enjoyed the first episode as well.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
From Aiden Foley, really digging the show so far. Love Jennifer and Bruce's relationship the most. It's sad there are so many people watching this with agendas, though.
Well, and let's face it, look, again, there are just unfortunately sad mom's basement dwelling, cousin humping losers that there's a black person. The show stars a girl, but I mean, they are what they are, and who gives a fuck? I certainly don't. All right, what's next?
From A-Rod 2006, I'm betting based on the teaser they released, we're getting Abomination and maybe Wong tonight. I really think so. I really think we are.
Really? Because we were just talking about this, that maybe I'm thinking it might be Matt Murdock's episode if they introduce the whole idea that we want to create a division. Maybe she doesn't want to do it. He convinces her. Like, what I don't see them doing is like bringing in Wong, Abomination, Matt Murdock, like a whole bunch of them into one. But I'm gonna guess episode 3 is Wong and Abomination.
Ooh, okay.
Because Wong comes to visit her at the law firm, right? That means everything has to already be established. Everybody knows that she's She-Hulk and she's this big lawyer. And probably, because we seen that one promo, he comes to her and she's in a much nicer office than she was in episode 1.
That's true.
So that means that the events of them wanting to create this new division, have her head up this new division, like all that stuff has to happen before the Wong episode. So I'm going to go on a limb and guess Wong shows up in episode 3.
I have a very inside baseball reasoning for why they would see each other sooner. So there's a character in this show called Pug. Augustus, nicknamed Pug, who, is an NYU law graduate who works at the firm with her and everything, has a big crush on Jennifer. Real cute. And he was a bouncer at a place called the Velvet Morgue. Is that correct, Rob? I believe that's right. Yeah, the Velvet Morgue was a bar on Bleecker Street.
Oh, okay. So I'm seeing the connection here.
I would really love it if this is also Wong's local haunt. And when he's had a hard day of being the Sorcerer Supreme, he comes and gets a cold bevy and maybe hangs out with our Ally McBeal-esque heroine. And that's how they start to get to know each other a little bit more.
You know what? That is not a crazy thought.
I think it'd be fun. I don't think they'll do it, but I'd really love it. It'd be a really cute Easter egg.
Do they do any karaoke there? Because we know Wong got introduced to that recently.
I would love it if they're spreading the good word of karaoke to all the Marvel heroes.
All right, what's next?
From Reamer Bulldog, excuse me. Right, WandaVision and Ms. Marvel are the only great Disney Plus shows, even though I enjoy Loki. I'm hoping She-Hulk can be great, too, off to a good start.
I am in 100% complete agreement with you, remember? WandaVision and Ms. Marvel are the only 2 Marvel series that they've done in Disney Plus so far that are great. I didn't like Hawkeye. Falcon and Winter Soldier was fine, had some certain big highlight wonderful moments. Loki had some big highlight wonderful moments, but at the end of the day, it was all right. It was good. It was all right.
Moon Knight was great for most episodes.
But Ms. Marvel and WandaVision are the only 2 that have really excelled.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, man. I really hope that She-Hulk can be the next one. I really do.
Like it to stick the landing.
Yeah, so would I. All right, what's next?
From Dr. Stinky. She-Hulk is great. CGI is a little bit off, but great. Bring on the filthy.
You know what? I'm going to have to disagree. I watched that and I'm like, you show me another television example of a full CGI human-like character that looks better. You're not going to be able to. Or at least if you do, it's going to surprise me. You can't. Bruce looked phenomenal.
So good.
Phenomenal. The one thing about Jennifer, about She-Hulk, and we talked about this last week, was the fact that I would have liked to have seen a little more texture on the skin of Jennifer, whereas Bruce had all types of personality and character and defects and texture and all that kind of stuff. I would have liked to see a little bit more of that on him, but other than that, I thought the animation itself, the motion animation was wonderful. I thought for a television thing, I thought it looked really good, to be honest with you.
I thought it was great. The only thing I found uncanny was her hair when it was down. That sometimes some of the movement.
You know what? I'm going to go with the, because we mentioned before, you ask some most visual effects people, fur and hair.
So difficult.
Are amongst the toughest things to really nail.
It's why The Little Mermaid didn't have curly hair, was because animating it was too much of a hassle.
All right, what's next?
From The Real Connor, sending in a $20 super chat.
Thank you, Real Connor.
I really feel like She-Hulk is going to sneak up on us a lot more impactful to the overall MCU than we think it is. I'm amped after episode 1, which I loved.
Here's the thing, Real Connor, you would have to be right, because if I don't anticipate that the She-Hulk series is going to be something that has a big impact on the overall MCU. I really don't. So if it does, you're right. It would have snuck up on us. I'll be surprised if it is. My feeling is that it's just going to be a delightful half-hour, 9-episode, really just entertaining kind of show. But if it's more than that, you will have nailed it. It would have snuck up. Do you expect it to make some big impact on the MCU as a whole?
I feel like it's got to do something. Right? And I know that's such a basic answer, but there has to be a reason why we're watching these shows for more than just the characters themselves, right? There does feel like there needs to be a bit more of a through line for what we're watching, especially if Feige has been saying you're going to keep seeing more of how Phase 4 is coming together.
But did he mean She-Hulk with that? Well, he might. He might. All right, what's next?
From TJ Thomas, I wish they dropped 2 episodes this week, not 1.
This week, I'm fine with them. Look, I'm fine with 1 episode a week. Actually, I think that's the right way to go. What I wish is they had launched with 2 episodes. So, like, give us just get us more firmly grounded in what this show is to start off with. Other than that, I'm fine with the week to week after that. All right, what's next?
From Jonathan Vigoa. So not for tonight's episode, but what episode do you think will get Daredevil? And do you think we'll see multiple episodes with him in it? I
do not think we're going to see multiple episodes with him in it. I think we're going to see 1 episode. And again, I have no insider information on this whatsoever. I could be a million, but I kind of feel like it's going to be tonight. Because again, like I was telling to Rob, I got a feeling that they need to establish her thing about heading up this new division. Mm-hmm. That's got to happen relatively early in the series. So I see that happening and then her kind of resisting it and Matt Murdock showing up saying, listen, you're one of the few people that can have a foot in both worlds. Let me tell you about it. So I'm going to guess he shows up tonight. That's my guess, is that he shows up tonight. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I think
you're thinking Wong tonight.
I mean,
right?
I would like Wong in there, but after you explained that little setup, that makes sense. IMDb is also doing this little stinky thing where everyone is in the show for at least 8 episodes, which is nonsense. That's not true.
I can't see that.
Like Benedict Wong is, I don't think, in 8 episodes of the show.
Because that means he has to be in every single episode.
Exactly.
Now, if any character is going to show up in multiple episodes, I think it's going to be Wong.
Yeah.
Because even Kevin Feige is saying it's the Wong cinematic universe now, right?
But like, Daredevil is not going to be in 8 episodes of this.
I mean, it would be great if
It'd
he was.
It'd be delightful. If they had a little Tinder match and if they fell in love, oh my gosh. I'd love it. But it would make sense for him to have that first step of, hey, let's get you on board for doing this kind of legal work. And then we get the cases and everything. I can follow you on that journey.
All right. What's next?
From Jay Master, my prediction is Abomination and Wong show up.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think they come in on the same episode because Shang-Chi already established their connection. Yeah. So I think they do come in the same episode. Actually, it might even, the same way that I think Daredevil is the one who convinces her to take this new position. I think Wong is going to be the one to convince her to take on the Abomination case. Because we saw in one of the trailers her saying, no, I can't take this case. It's conflict of interest. He tried to kill my family. Mm-hmm. And so maybe Wong shows up and says, listen, there's big things at stake here. We need him to, I don't know. So, but again, I don't think that happens till after she takes the new role.
That's fair.
But watch, as soon as the episode, before we even see Jennifer, we're taken right to the sanctum and we see Wong talking to Abomination through one of his portals. And then that sets it up right away.
Just being like, hey, be nice to your new lawyer. Don't screw this up.
Yeah, don't screw this up.
You tried to kill her cousin.
Yeah, and don't forget we got another fight next week or something like that. All right, what's next?
From Quality Not Included, I think the comedy is going to ramp up from here. I hope so.
I agree too. Now, again, that is not me complaining about last week. I at the end of the day, I came around and really liked the way they handled it. Mm-hmm. But now that we've got that down, I would like to see, because when they did hit the comedy notes last week, it really worked.
Absolutely.
Like it wasn't just the Captain America fuck, like everything about, like when they tried to land humor, the humor really worked for me.
And I feel like from that joke too, you can only crescendo from there.
I hope so. I hope so. All right, what's next?
From Alex Shannon. Hey, everyone. Did you see that Titania, Jamil, is running around LA today spray painting over the She-Hulk ads? I love this. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I have not heard of this, but I want to see footage because that is brilliant.
That's
if she's
so
actually
fun.
running around LA doing that, I want to see that.
Oh my gosh. Also, I want to just be best friends with her. Jamil seems so friggin' cool. She's so good on Good Place.
And loves her. Absolutely loves her.
I'd like to be best friends with too.
And that comment is going to mean that she's not your best friend, Rob.
All right, what's next?
From Jay Master. Did you guys see a video Marvel dropped on the She-Hulk Twitter account of, sorry, I just did that one. Oh, no, it's a new one. It's the same thing. Of Jamila spray painting all over She-Hulk banners as Titania in the streets of LA.
I have guys.
I've missed this.
I've not seen this, but you know what we're doing. As soon as the show's over, I want to go and watch this.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant. All right, what's next?
From Dr. J.
Dr. J.
John and Anne's Tinder competition shed some light on the acquisition of a new couch that easily fits 8 people. I'm excited for episode 2. This show makes great use of its 30-minute runtime.
You know what? I'm going to say, yes. I'm glad you brought that up because I meant to say this last week and then I meant to bring it up again today and I never did. So I'm so glad you brought this up.
The 8-person couch isn't for orgies?
I can neither confirm or deny anything.
Okay.
But the 30-minute runtime, you're right. Watching that episode last week, if I had just watched it and then you asked me, how long do you think that episode was? I probably would have said 41, 42 minutes.
Yeah.
It did not feel super quick, which tells me you're exactly right. They really knew how to use the 30-minute format and really get the most out of every scene. It was all killer, no filler.
Absolutely.
And if they can keep that up, I mean, that's difficult to keep up. But if they can, I mean, it'd be impressive.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just the work they did on that cousin relationship, that very,
Yes.
it was more like brother and sister. They have such this beautiful familial bond that
Right.
you just buy into immediately, down to the name calling. Like
Right.
when they just yell dummy at each other. It was like, oh, this is like me and my brother hanging out.
Well,
This is great.
or that like one scene when they're doing the exercise, she goes, "Isn't it a thing to make my tight butt?"
Yeah.
And then Bruce is like,
You're my
"First of
cousin,
all, you're my cousin." Of course, if Rob was in that scene, it would have been, "Oh yeah." But at any rate, but being that is said, again, perfect use of their timing, absolutely. All right, what's next?
From Dragonton. The series won't be complete until a certain soldier who faced the Hulk in his first film makes an appearance. I bet John knows who I'm talking about.
I can neither confirm nor deny anything that a certain brave military
Fearless soldier.
member of the military with no superpowers of their own facing down the Hulk may or may not appear.
Just a pure heart and a love for his adoptive country.
That's all I'm going to say. I'll just leave it at that. All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher, do we see Daredevil or Matt Murdock first? Ooh, I have to imagine she goes against Matt and then we see her team up with Daredevil in the same episode.
Well, I don't really see her going up against. I mean, you mean in a legal sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because yeah, we're not going to see She-Hulk fight Daredevil because that's not going to turn out well for Daredevil. I mean, behold my stick. Yeah, that's not going to work out so well against a Hulk. But the way they did that shot in the preview, where he shows up, he lands and that big camera pan up, that felt to me like the first appearance.
Yeah.
That didn't feel like just another shot. It's like, and now the Daredevil, who we've seen in 5 other scenes, now he shows. No. The way the camera work was in that promo was like, then from the boots up, rising up. I got a feeling we see Daredevil first before we see Matt.
I agree with that. I feel like that's a really weird reveal otherwise if he's been kicking it around the scene before that.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
From Jay Master, we know in the trailers Frogman will appear. Yes.
Do we? Do we know that from the
So we
trailers?
see an image or we see someone dressed up as Frogman in the image.
I don't remember this.
Yeah. There was the one that y'all thought was a Power Ranger. And it was like, that's Frogman.
That's it.
Which I'm really excited about because also Griffin Matthews from The Flight Attendant, he was in season 1 and season 2.
Is that Katie Kuko's show?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. He's in the show. Kaylee Cuoco?
Kaylee. Yeah, I said.
I mean what you know.
I
We
didn't
got
even say
it.
what I said. All right.
Griffin Matthews is in the show. No one knows who he's playing yet. And so I feel like he's going to be Frogman.
That
I think
could
would be
work.
really, really fun. The other part of that, though, is why would you keep Frogman a secret? That's phase 4.
Now, what? No, like they're going to shock the world. They're going to shock the world. Okay, you thought fake Quicksilver in WandaVision? I'm going to tell you right now. Who's the dude that played Darth Maul again?
Ray Parker?
Ray Park.
Or Ray Parker?
Toad. It's going to be Toad. Like what happens when a frog is hit by lightning?
Same thing that happens to everything.
Toad. This is going to be. This is it. This is the X-Men crossover.
This is when it happened.
This is the X-Men crossover everybody's been waiting for. It's not Frogman, it's Toad.
Man.
And he's going to still be singed.
What happens when a toad gets hit by a Hulk?
Same thing that happens to everything else. So, yeah, there you go. It's crossover everybody's been waiting for. All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher, also unrelated, Rob. Your shirt says edited by Marsha Lucas. I have a similar Star Wars end credits shirt, but mine says music by John Williams.
Oh, that's a good one.
Nice.
Speaking of which, John Williams, September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Yeah, I'm going on the 4th.
At the Hollywood Bowl. We
What?
haven't picked our tickets yet. We got to pick a day. That's the Sunday, the 4th?
Sunday's the 4th.
I think we're going to try to get our tickets for the Saturday.
Yeah, so 3rd.
And go. Because I have a feeling it's going to be his last one.
Yeah.
I have a feeling I think he's going to retire after this one. I hope I'm wrong, but yeah, we got to go see that. All right, what's next?
From Sam. We just did that? From Jay Master.
Jay Master.
During an interview, Jessica Gao said Kevin Feige confirmed that Spider-Man was off limits for showing in She-Hulk.
Okay, well that makes sense. I had a hard time believing that Sony would allow that, so that makes total sense. I wouldn't have expected to see it. It would have been fun, but again, even from a narrative point of view, now that the world doesn't know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man,
Yeah.
And this takes place in LA too, right? So he'd have to come all the way to LA.
that's true. You would
a
have
lot
to
of
go
swinging.
cross country. I mean, hey, it's been months since No Way Home.
That's true.
You could have hitchhiked. Have you seen the commercials?
He could be hitchhiking to the Hulk music from the 70s show.
There you go.
Be precious.
All right, what's next?
From Jeffrey Lindenblot. We are forgetting that at the end of the Incredible Hulk movie, the leader was born. Could he be the villain behind the scenes?
Well, Jeffrey, you must be joining us for a first time because
Yes.
we have addressed this. And of course, at the end of the Oh Brother Where Art Thou actor, who played the leader again?
Oh.
Tim
There
Blake
we go.
Nelson, who was fantastic in Oh Brother Where Art Thou, if you haven't seen that. Of course, that was another dangling thread. The thing is, nobody cared. Everybody cared about Abomination. Nobody really cared about him. But of course, it just ends with him laying there going, and then Bruce's blood growing in his head and his head getting swelling and going, ah. It's like,
Yeah.
that wasn't.
Okay.
But I mean, I've never felt a hunger from myself or the fan community to really see him come back. So it's possible. You're right. That is a dangling thread, but that's more of a dangling thread for Bruce sometime in the future than it is for Jennifer. So I'm going to guess no. Now watch. He pops up tonight.
Maybe. He could.
Yeah, I give it a low shot. All right. Let's take one more before I tag out here and bring Rob in.
Dr. Stinky again. Hey, John and crew. Under or over 30% that we could get Sam Wilson in She-Hulk because of his relation with Steve. I think over 30%. Bring on the filthy.
What does his relationship with Steve had to do with She-Hulk, other than the fact that she just had a theory that he might have been a virgin? I'm not sure, but
You know how you run up to some of these friends and go, "Hey, your bro a virgin?"
yeah, you know. Okay, I will say this. I will go under 30, but not tremendously under 30. But it isn't because of his connection with Steve. It's because he already lives in the Disney Plus universe. And so I don't think it's the craziest thing that Sam could show up and be a part of that. But again, I would still go under 30. I would put that closer to maybe about 12%. So not impossible, not completely off the deck, but maybe not that high.
I like the idea of Sam being around just so we get more and more used to people knowing he's Captain America.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Before the movie comes out.
Yeah, but I don't know if this is the show for that.
All right. So I'll let you read off the next question while I tag in Rob. Rob, you're up.
All right, from Tim Platt, I know who's going to show up. Mephisto. It's always Mephisto.
It's Agatha
It's Agatha all along.
all along.
Oh my goodness.
You never know.
It's Ralph Boner.
Somebody's.
From James Argenta. Feige vetoed Spider-Man appearing, but one of Jen's colleagues in Superhuman Law was saved by Spider-Man. Thor could ask Jen to help legally adopt Love.
That's interesting.
That'd be cute.
I think that would be cute. I mean, how do you legally adopt a superpowered being? Or
Do you have to?
I don't know.
If you're a god, do you have to sign adoption papers?
There are rules.
That's fair.
You are governed by matters and rules.
I mean,
of conduct.
if she's going to start going to the LA school system, then absolutely.
Oh yeah,
I mean, business.
insurance liability
Yeah.
issues.
Armada. This won't happen, but a She-Hulk defending a Kang variant would be really funny.
Yeah, but they would have to do more introductions, I would think.
I think so, and it might undermine the whole idea of Kang being a bad.
Right.
Alrighty. From Sam Fisher, maybe not Thor, but another Asgardian.
Well, they are living on Earth.
Yeah, I think it would absolutely make sense for more Asgardians to show up too. In the promos for She-Hulk, when you called that legal number, they talked about if you're an Asgardian who's been relocated
Right.
here. So I think it makes sense that one of them would show up.
Yeah. What if you did something, bad?
Yeah. Look,
I like the idea.
you're a mystical Norse god who's just trying to make a living in tourism now.
And you come to LA, who knows what happens to you?
Exactly. Shenanigans always happen in LA. All right. From Blake. The rumored scene when she goes to Marvel Studios. She's sitting in the waiting room and the camera pans over to Deadpool waiting to meet with Feige. Oh, I do love that.
I do love that too.
Of just somebody sitting there like flipping through a magazine.
Waiting, because everybody wants to meet with Kevin Feige.
They need to be flipping through a magazine with Hugh Jackman's face on it while they're waiting to meet Feige. Then I'll be a happy camper.
Yes.
All right. From Sven86. Over under 15%, Kevin Feige has a cameo during this season.
100%.
Absolutely. If they're going to the Marvel offices, I think it only makes sense.
I think 100%.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Me too.
You're
with me.
You're with you? That's good. Mike's Movie Madness. Don't think we're getting Daredevil, but maybe a name drop of Nelson and Murdoch to set up his intro?
Oh, no. I think we can be assured that we're getting a Daredevil.
Yeah. Do you mean in tonight's episode or in totality? Because we for sure are getting him in the show. He's in the promo.
And he's a lawyer.
Yeah. But if you're talking about just in terms of when he's showing up, maybe today is just a name drop. Maybe they mentioned the avocados at law. That could happen.
One never knows.
From Gilbert Garcia. What if we see Lou Ferrigno?
I would love that.
Yeah.
We saw him in The Offer.
Yeah.
He was in The Offer.
And didn't he make cameos in the other two Hulk movies? I know for sure he did in the Edward Norton one.
Did, yeah. For sure. I think he was in the Ong Lee one.
Were you a fan of the TV show?
Yeah, loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
I only got to see reruns, and I always just thought like that opening sequence
when I was a kid,
fun.
I'd walk down the street and whistle that theme song.
Oh, it's so good. That's why when they played it with Norton hitchhiking, I was like, oh, so wonderful. From Suthius, some support. Thank you, Suthius. From Jay Master. Christian Harloff said in his review video of She-Hulk episode 2, there's a lot more comedy and a funny joke in the final scene.
Well, I would hope so. I mean, now that I want my sitcom. I want to be laughing.
Exactly. We've gotten through all of the, how she got there.
Yeah.
Now we need some more laughs.
We need some more laughs.
Weirdness.
And weirdness.
And I would hope that your final scene in a comedy delivers a comedic punch.
I would hope so, too.
Be a bummer otherwise. From DeBees McGov Carl. Do you think this show will answer Netflix canon?
Oh, whether or not the Netflix Marvel shows are actually canonical. I think it might. I think it might address it somehow, especially with Daredevil being in somehow. I think they will. I don't know if they're going to address it entirely.
Yeah.
But there might be some kind of, wait a minute, and they'll give us a little bit more information, at least.
I think it'll be a little cheeky nod to them.
Yeah.
Kind of the same way like a Deadpool situation could do it. If you seem different. All right.
Right. That would actually be pretty funny.
From Jonathan Hyatt. Isn't Titania supposed to be the main villain? If so, I hope we get a little more on her because so far they sort of jobbed her out right from the start.
Well, she was only there for a minute. We don't know what's happening.
We don't know why she was there.
Yeah, we have no idea what's going on. So I think she's not going to be jobbed.
Well, and if this marketing campaign tells us anything, which I started clicking on thanks to all of you who are sending the tweet. Thank you, Taylor, too. She's going to be at the forefront of this if they're having Jamila run through the streets of LA.
I was just watching that. It's pretty funny.
It's so good. Oh, my gosh. That is a brilliant marketing campaign. Love it. She's going to be in there.
She looks good.
Mm-hmm. From J Master. In the comics, She-Hulk reverts back to Jennifer Walters after having a guy in bed. Okay.
I didn't know that. What if you want to go for round 2?
Guess you got to wait.
You just wait for him to say something asinine to you, and then, hey, there you go. From Lord Gino.
That's all you got.
76. Lord Gino 76. Why did 2003 Hulk punch that dog in the balls?
Was there supposed to be a
Is there a punchline for that?
Yeah.
Or maybe he's just queer. It's a query.
I don't know. I don't recall a dog being punched in the balls.
There were Hulk dogs.
Hulk.
Oh.
It's a spot to punch. There you go.
From Culture Wars Diplomacy, don't overplay the incompetent male catcalling.
See, I didn't see that as incompetent male. I mean, there's a lot of people that talk that way. Like we talked about earlier in the show, Bruce was trying to help her because his experience of being a Hulk is very different from hers. He was not an integrated personality. Mm-hmm. He had a lot of issues. He also got taken away for 2 years. And I think that I didn't see it as being an incompetent male, as being more of a mentor relationship, trying to help her out, and then realizing you're not. Wow, you have different issues than I do.
For sure.
So,
and I feel like if we're talking about that specific catcalling scene too,
she's at a bar. I mean.
Yeah, she's at a bar. And if you think that they're overplaying that, hi, I am a female woman living in this world. No.
I mean, just be observant. I mean, how many times have I been to a bar and to observe that?
Yeah.
Give me a break.
you can go to a bar at any day,
anytime,
of the week,
any
night,
day,
and see something like that happen.
It can be Sunday morning.
Yes.
So, and I don't think that has anything to do with the incompetency of male. I think it has to do with certain individuals, regardless of gender, being assholes.
Yes, or also just not knowing how to having no game.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Treat people right.
That's right.
From Gustavo Milian, just some support. Thank you, Gustavo. That's wonderful. From Gilbert Garcia. And John, in old promotional material for She-Hulk, Bruce does return. He's doing a commercial with Jen wearing the old Incredible Hulk show clothes.
Is that true?
If that's true,
okay,
that's great.
I'm all there for that. I mean, I do believe that he's going to return, and maybe not in his Hulk form, but as Banner.
I think that'd be precious.
I mean, that's hilarious.
Mm-hmm. I would like that a lot. Well, and again, I mean, IMDb is saying that everyone's in all of the episodes, but I do think Mark Ruffalo is going to come back for more than that one.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah. I think that's absolutely true.
From Mighty Tank, I have a theory that the smart Hulk we see post-car crash is a super Skrull. Looked like Banner was turning into the real Hulk after Jen runs away. I bet that ship took him off-world. I don't know, probably wrong. I mean, that's interesting. My only issue then is that familial camaraderie.
Right, that's the thing. I mean, they clearly know each other for the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, just because you're a Skrull doesn't mean you know everything there is to know about that person.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think that because I think that was too important. You know, they're not going to reveal, well, that really wasn't him.
Yeah.
So...
From Joel Rolston, most concerns I've heard are whether or not her Hulk arc was completed in the pilot. I think Jen's differences from Bruce are what will drive a conflict between them. No conflict, now story.
I think that's probably true. I mean, the fact is, you know, that she is all an integrated personality. I mean, she can have a life. She can go out and be a lawyer and do whatever, whereas, you know, Bruce didn't get to do that. And when you first meet him in what, Avengers, when Natasha has to go get him, I mean... He's got issues. He's got anger issues. Severely. He's angry all the time.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a little resentment, but I don't know. I mean, I like the idea that they could help each other out. Like there wouldn't be a conflict between them personally, but because they're not. I mean, it looked like a conflict, but it was more familial and mentor. Like rather than I don't like you, cuz.
Yeah, because they do have an understanding of one another.
Yeah.
So. I think the conflict is going to be more about her balancing this life.
Work life.
Yeah.
You know, or work play.
Your work Hulk balance.
Yeah, how do you do
your
that?
Work life Hulk dating balance.
I mean, that's going to be the whole thing. This just happened to her. Like, we haven't seen her, what happens when she just goes to the grocery store. Like, I mean, if she has like 6 bags, does she turn into the Hulk so she can take them all in at the same time?
If she's in the 10 items or less lane and someone goes in there with 12 and she's just like, this is bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Road rage?
Ooh, especially in LA.
Cut me off.
Oh, she's going to burst out of her car. All right, from Joel Rolston. Most concerns I've heard are whether or not her Hulk arc was oh, no, we just did that one.
Yeah.
So S-Beam, ending with some support. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for tuning in to our She-Hulk pre-show. We couldn't do it without you and all of your awesome, awesome questions. Let's get John back in here.
Yes, thank you for joining us for that. And don't forget to come back tomorrow, of course, at 3 p.m. Los Angeles time tomorrow. We will be doing our She-Hulk after show, our post-game wrap-up, and it's going to be a full open spoiler discussion about it, so make sure you guys come back and join us for that. Also, Jonathan, I don't know if you have it up on the screen or not, but I want to tell you guys about the podcast feed. We have an entirely new podcast feed that we simply call After Show. It's a brand new podcast feed that we've put up, and it's the place where the audio versions of all of our pre-game shows for like She-Hulk, House of the Dragon, Andor, Lord of the Rings, and all the shows we're going to be doing after. There it is right there. You're going to find a link for it down in the description of this video. What we would love for you guys to do, because we debuted at number 133 on the iTunes chart, which is great. But we are asking you guys to help us get up into the top 50. And the way you can help us do that is by going over, subscribing on your favorite podcasting app of choice, subscribe to After Show, leave a comment and give it a rating and stuff like that. And we would love to see if we can get After Show into the top 50 on the iTunes chart. So please help us out and do that. And again, of course, obviously, join us again tomorrow. So for Robert Meyer-Burnett, who's over there off camera right now, producer Jonathan Voico, who's back there, Kris Carr, and myself, John Campea, thanks a lot, guys, for being here for our She-Hulk pregame show. Again, tomorrow, 3 p.m. for our postgame show. 8 hours and counting until the next episode of She-Hulk. We'll talk to you guys then. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.